We're rolling.
Welcome, this is Krager, and what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you another episode, video mechanic episode. This series is going to be on how to do an oil change and a filter change on an automobile. These are going to be the products that you need. You're going to need 6 quarts of your personal brand of oil. You're going to need a wrench. This is what we're going to use to undo the plug for the oil pan to drain the oil. You're going to need a filter wrench. Unless you got a real strong grip, you can do it by hand, but I suggest that you get a filter wrench that fits the size of your oil filter. And an oil filter, along with one of the most important things, if you'll take a look down here, you're going to need something to catch your used oil into and a container to pour that oil into so you can discard of it properly. You don't want to be pouring this out into the grass and doing any water contamination of your property. I suggest that you just take it to an oil dump station. It's free, and that's the easiest way to get it disposed of. Okay, so we're going to get started on this. It shouldn't take very long. It's pretty simple to do when you understand what needs to be done. All right, what we're looking at here is a 2002 Ford Ranger. That's what we're going to be doing the oil change on. We're going to take a look at the engine compartment here and take a look at what we have. What I'm going to show you right now is the oil filter. This is what you're going to be removing. You're going to be removing the oil filter. It's at the end of my hand right down here, this white thing that I'm pointing at right here. You see it's got the ridges on it. That's the oil filter. All right, this is the oil dipstick. This is where we're going to be checking to make sure that we have enough oil in it after the oil change. And we're going to rotate around over here, and I'm going to show you that this is your oil cap. It's kind of dirty, but it'll show you the type of oil that should be put into the car or the vehicle, and this is where we're going to pour the brand new oil to refill our crankcase. Okay, so we're going to get started. All right, now we're going to get up underneath the car, and we're going to take a look at what we should be doing under here. Okay, what you're looking at right here is the drain plug to the oil pan, and this is where we're going to take our wrench, and we're going to use, I like to use the box end on the wrench, because if we ever have any type of a tight bolt that we can't get undone, instead of stripping the bolt, if you'll use the box end of the wrench and not the open end of the wrench, you will get more of the wrench on the nut, as you can see. Now, counterclockwise to loosen, and you get some leverage here. So we're going to turn counterclockwise to loosen it, and now we have it loosened, coming undone very easily now, and we have our container below us, and we're just going to allow the oil to come out into the container, just like so. Now we are doing an oil drain. So when this is completed, we're going to move on to what we're going to do next. Now, all right, now that we've got the oil drained, do not forget to put the oil plug back in, tighten it back up, turning clockwise to tighten, snug it down, nice and snug. We're going to come outside underneath the hood, and we're going to replace the oil filter. That's our next job. What we're going to do, I've got this oil filter wrench, and we're going to remove the oil filter, the old oil filter, by placing the wrench on the filter. And again, turning left will loosen. We're going to get the oil filter loosened, and then we're going to reach in by hand to get this out. I'm going to spin it by hand, until it comes off of the oil filter mount. Take it out of the vehicle, and here's the old oil filter. Okay, discarded this properly, and we're going to move to replace the new oil filter. What I like to do, people, is there's a rubber neoprene gasket on the new filter to make sure that we get a good seal to the filter mount. What we're going to do is I like to use some of the new oil, and I like to prep the filter first. I like to fill it about halfway because mine's a side mount. I don't want it to spill all over the ground. I fill it about halfway, and then with some of the new oil that's on it, I put a little oil on the seal to help make sure that I've got a good seal to the filter mount on the side of the engine. And all we're going to do now is just take this oil filter and put it right back where the old oil filter was. All right, last step to this process, of course, take off your oil filler cap and take your can. I turn it this way so it's easier to pour, at least to get a start. You'll start pouring the oil into your filler cap into the top of the engine, and then you can spin it around and completely drain the oil, or completely drain the can. We're going to put in 5 quarts of oil, and then what we're going to do is we're going to, as we move along, we're going to put in 5 quarts, and then we're going to pull the dipstick and check the dipstick. And when we're all finished, we want to make sure that we're in between what is called the minimum and maximum range. I like to keep it close to the maximum range. Do not overfill it. It will, overfilling your oil will actually, it's not good for your engine because it can allow the engine to actually put too much pressure into the components of the engine that make the engine, the oil system run properly. You don't want to over pressurize your bearings and your seals, or you could end up with a bigger problem than what you started with. So, and don't go over the maximum, but do get it as close as possible to that maximum limit, and then actually you're done. This is the end of the job. Pretty easy to do. Can save yourself a lot of money. So until next time, this is Craig, the video mechanic, and we'll see you later.